From the very first day you enter the professional world, you're essentially handed a script.
Oh, absolutely. The standard playbook.
Right. And that script says, the customer is always right and always go above and beyond.
Yeah, you're basically taught to be the ultimate concierge for your clients or your bosses or partners.
Exactly. You're supposed to anticipate their needs, solve their problems before they even realize they have them.
Just strive to make yourself completely, utterly indispensable.
Yeah, and it feels like the absolute gold standard of being good at your job.
Well, it feels like the ultimate value proposition, yeah. Because it's just so deeply ingrained in our professional DNA.
Right.
I mean, we are conditioned to equate extreme helpfulness with job security. The logic is so simple. It's like, the more I do for you, the more valuable I am to you, and the less likely you are to ever leave me or fire me.
Makes sense. But today, we are completely tearing up that script.
We really are.
We're doing a deep dive into this totally counterintuitive trap of of being too good of a partner.
Yeah, the dangers of being too helpful.
Exactly. And this whole deep dive is built around this really eye-opening concept articulated by Rory Gagan, who is a director at Redbox Direct, in a piece he wrote called The Perils of Over-Collaboration in Technical Sales.
Right. It's a fascinating look at the dynamic.
It really is. We are looking at why bending over backwards, being that ultimate solve every problem collaborator might actually be the absolute fastest way to completely ruin a professional relationship.
Yeah, and the psychology we're unpacking here is brilliant. And frankly, it's a little terrifying for anyone who considers themselves a people pleaser.
Oh, totally. Which
Yeah.
is like a lot of us.
Exactly. Because the very behaviors we instinctively use to try and secure a long-term relationship well, they're the exact behaviors that can end up destroying it from the inside out.
Wow.
And, while this originates in the world of high-level technical sales,
Mm-hmm.
the core mechanism applies to absolutely anyone who works with other human beings.
All right. It doesn't matter your industry.
Nope. Whether you're consulting, freelancing, managing an internal team, or really just trying to navigate a complex office dynamic, the dangers of over-collaboration are just lurking right beneath the surface of your good intentions.
Okay, so let's set the stage by looking at the environment where this trap is the easiest to fall into.
Okay.
Picture the world of selling incredibly complex technology to actual world-class technologists.
Right, the heavy hitters.
Exactly. We are talking about highly sophisticated medical systems sold to hospital specialists, analytical instruments for big pharma, or complex scientific apparatus for, university researchers.
Yeah, so you're dealing with brilliant people who do intensely complicated work.
Right?
And the baseline requirement for even starting a conversation in that environment is already just astronomically high.
Because you can't just walk in there with a pamphlet?
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
You cannot sell a $2 million analytical instrument to a pharmaceutical lab by just, handing them a glossy brochure and buying them a steak dinner.
Right.
You have to understand their world, their language, and the deep technical pain points of their specific research. I mean, you have to adopt a deeply consultative strategy just to get your foot in the door.
You really have to prove you understand how your product helps them get their highly specialized work done.
Exactly.
And when you are genuinely good at that, you reach a point that feels like the mountaintop.
The pinnacle of the relationship, yeah.
Right. There is this one specific anecdote from the source material that perfectly captures the peak of this dynamic.
Oh, I love this example.
So imagine a customer, right? A woman running a major laboratory that spends a massive amount of money with your company. After a long meeting, she gives you what feels like the ultimate compliment.
Right.
She tells you that when you visit her lab, it doesn't feel like a salesperson is visiting. It feels like a collaborator is visiting.
Yeah, and on the surface, that sounds amazing. The friction of the traditional buyer-seller dynamic has completely dissolved.
It's gone.
Right. You're sitting on the same side of the table, looking at the complex scientific problem together. You're no longer just a vendor hawking a machine. You are a trusted peer in the pursuit of scientific discovery.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this for a second, because I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone who just heard that compliment.
Okay.
The lab director is thrilled. The laboratory is spending a fortune with my company. The customer trusts me completely, and I'm viewed as a true partner in their success.
Sounds perfect, right?
It does. I genuinely don't see the downside here. I mean, if I get this compliment, I'm going home and popping champagne. How could this possibly be a problem? It sounds like the absolute pinnacle of professional success.
It absolutely sounds and feels like a massive win in the moment. I
Yeah.
totally agree. But uh, hiding inside that collaborator status is this really dangerous illusion of limitless capacity.
Limitless capacity.
Yeah. See, when you transition from being a vendor of a highly specialized tool to being a collaborator in the actual work being done with that tool,
Yeah.
the boundaries of your responsibility begin to blur significantly.
Ah, okay. I see where this is going.
Right. Because consultative selling is enormously useful to establish credibility
Mhm.
and get the relationship off the ground. But the word collaboration implies something entirely different.
What does it imply?
It implies that we are in this together equally for the long haul on every single problem that arises in your laboratory.
Oh, wow. And committing to every single problem is a mathematically impossible promise to keep.
Exactly.
The high of receiving that compliment, of having your ego stroked by a brilliant scientist who sees you as a peer, it kind of masks the harsh, unforgiving reality of the calendar.
Because suddenly you are viewed as an extension of their own team, which feels fantastic until you remember you have 30 other clients who also need your attention.
Yeah, you've effectively volunteered for a full-time job inside their organization while still holding your actual full-time job.
Right. And trying to sustain that level of deep collaborative involvement across a whole portfolio of complex high-maintenance accounts,
Mm.
well, it means you're inevitably failing somewhere else.
You just don't have the hours.
No, you don't. The sheer mechanics of time consumption become your biggest enemy. Our well-meaning efforts to sit side by side with our favorite customers consume all of our available hours.
Leaving us completely unable to prospect, to strategize, or to sell to new accounts.
Exactly.
There is a striking phrase used to describe this exact phenomenon in the source, and it hits incredibly hard. It's called committing professional suicide through kindness.
That is such a powerful phrase, professional suicide through kindness.
Right. You are being so incredibly helpful, you're leaning so far into this collaborative role that you ultimately cannot justify your existence on your own company's payroll.
Because you aren't doing the core thing you were hired to do.
Exactly, which is to bring in new business and grow the territory.
Yeah, you become a victim of your own competence and empathy. You are slowly drowning under the weight of uncompensated labor, but, you're doing it with a smile on your face because you believe you're holding your client's head above water.
That is so true.
And kindness without boundaries isn't just inefficient in a professional setting. It is an active liability. You stagnate. You stop growing.
Right.
And your internal management starts wondering why your sales numbers have completely flatlined, completely unaware that you are essentially acting as an unpaid lab assistant for 3 of your biggest accounts.
Okay, let's bring this out of the scientific laboratory and into an everyday scenario for the listener.
Yeah, let's make it relatable.
It's like being a freelance graphic designer who lands a client they absolutely love. You design their initial logo and they're thrilled. They pay your invoice immediately.
Always a great feeling.
Right. But then, a week later, they ask for a tiny tweak to the font for a specific flyer. You do it for free because you're a, quote, collaborator.
Oh, I've seen this happen so many times.
Yeah. Then they ask if you could just quickly format a 50-slide PowerPoint deck for their upcoming board meeting, since you already have the brand colors loaded on your computer.
Just do a quick favor, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And you want to be a great partner, so you say yes.
And the demands escalate naturally because you've removed the friction of the transaction. You've signaled that your time is an unlimited resource dedicated to their success.
Fast forward 3 months, you are spending 40 hours a week doing endless, unbilled revisions, tweaking social media graphics, and formatting internal memos for this one favorite client.
And you feel incredibly important to their business. You feel indispensable.
But then the first of the month rolls around and you realize you can't pay your rent because you haven't pitched a single piece of new business or taken on a single paying project in a quarter.
Wow, yeah.
You committed professional suicide through kindness.
The desire to please, the desire to be the good guy, it blinds you to the fact that you are destroying your own livelihood.
Totally.
But that lost time, that's a massive internal problem for the seller. But the danger of over-collaboration is actually twofold.
Right, the internal damage is only half the story.
Exactly. The situation becomes infinitely worse when we look at the external damage. This extreme helpfulness doesn't just hurt you, it actually starts to poison the client's perception of your product.
See, that feels completely backwards to everything we were taught.
It really does.
You might think, well, at least I can't pay my rent, but that one graphic design client loves me. At least my sales numbers are down, but
Right.
that one lab director thinks I'm a genius.
Right, the silver lining.
But the reality is that sacrificing your own time to help them doesn't buy you eternal loyalty, it buys you resentment.
Yeah.
And this leads directly to the second peril, which is arguably much more destructive than just losing time.
We were talking about the creation of the dependency monster.
It's a dependency monster. I love that term.
It's so accurate. When you constantly jump in to solve every tangential problem, the prospect becomes completely reliant on your ability to clear their internal hurdles.
They stop looking at your product as a functional tool they use to do their job.
And they start looking at you, the human being, as the magic wand for their daily struggles.
Wow. The subtle, dangerous shift happens when the prospect starts to assume that every obstacle they encounter is now your responsibility to clear, simply because the obstacle is vaguely located in the same room as your product.
Okay, so what does this all mean? I mean, I'm putting myself back in the shoes of the skeptic here.
Sure.
I get that they're relying on us. I understand they might become a little needy. But why does that turn into actual objections against the product?
That's the key question.
If I am the one doing all the heavy lifting, if I'm formatting their slides or calibrating their experiments for them, shouldn't they just be incredibly grateful? Why would they complain when I am basically acting as their unpaid, highly skilled assistant?
Well, to understand why gratitude curdles into resentment, we have to look closely at the psychology of expertise and cognitive dissonance.
Okay, cognitive dissonance.
Think back to who these customers are. They're university researchers, medical specialists, pharmaceutical scientists. They possess incredibly deep microscopic expertise in their specific domains. Right, they are the undisputed masters of their specific tiny slice of the scientific universe. They know things about cellular behavior that take decades of highly specialized study to understand.
Exactly. Now, contrast that with the seller. The seller's brilliant. The seller knows the analytical instrument inside and out, but it is fundamentally impossible for a vendor, no matter how consultative, to fully possess the exact, granular, PhD-level knowledge of the customer's unique daily research.
Yeah, you know how the centrifuge operates, but you don't possess a doctorate in the specific subfield of molecular biology they're trying to pioneer.
Exactly. So you are essentially playing a game of chicken with your own competence, and eventually you are going to hit a wall.
You are guaranteed to hit a wall.
A completely novel question will arise. A massive hurdle will appear in their complex daily work. And because you have trained them over months or years to view you as their collaborative peer, they will turn to you to solve it.
And for the very first time, you won't have the answer.
Right. You won't know how to manipulate the sample to get the desired reading. You will be completely skunked.
And because you've conditioned them to expect you to solve absolutely everything, they don't look at you and say, oh, well, fair enough. That's highly specialized biochemistry and outside your scope as an equipment vendor.
No, not at all. They feel genuinely let down. They feel abandoned in a moment of crisis.
Man, that's brutal.
This is where the psychological shift occurs, and it is devastating. In a high-pressure professional setting, especially among highly credentialed experts, disappointment rarely expresses itself as, I am sad my friend couldn't help me.
Right, it converts.
Yeah. Yes, when an expert is stuck and stressed, their ego is threatened. To resolve that internal tension, that cognitive dissonance of a failing experiment, they have to project the failure outward. That disappointment rapidly converts into formal, aggressive objections against the product itself.
Oh, man. So instead of realizing they asked you a question outside your domain of expertise or, admitting they themselves don't know how to run their own novel experiment, they blame the tool to protect their ego.
Exactly.
They rationalize it by saying, well, if you, the ultimate collaborator, can't figure out how to make this instrument sequence this specific protein, then your instrument must be fundamentally flawed. This product isn't as robust as we were led to believe.
The failure of the overextended collaboration is projected entirely onto the technology. By trying to be everything to the client, you've effectively trained them to view any limitation in your personal scientific knowledge as a fatal structural flaw in the equipment you sold them.
You created the objection.
Yes, you manufactured their resentment by taking on responsibility for their actual work responsibility that never belonged to you in the first place.
That is a massive paradigm shift.
It really is.
Because if over-collaboration leads to time poverty and career stagnation on your end, and unfair resentment and product objections on the client's end, we have a serious systemic problem with how we view customer service.
Absolutely.
It means being a good partner is actually a high-stakes tightrope walk over a pit of resentment. So how do we know when we're about to step on the landmine?
Well, we need a clear boundary.
Right. We can't just stop helping people entirely and become cold, unfeeling vendors. There has to be a line.
And there is a very clear demarcation line. You still have to provide world-class support, but you have to define exactly what constitutes bad collaboration.
Okay, what is it?
The boundary rests entirely on the difference between the tool and the work. Bad collaboration happens the moment we cross from showing customers how to use our fantastic tools to purporting to show them how to do their actual work.
The line is between showing them how to use the tool versus showing them how to do the work. It sounds incredibly simple, but in the heat of a meeting, when someone is asking for your advice and your ego is being stroked, it is so easy to blur that line.
Oh, it's the easiest thing in the world to blur.
And when you cross that line, you immediately trigger the two unhappy consequences we just unpacked. The dependency monster that blames your product for their failures, and the lost time that kills your own career growth.
Right. And to clarify exactly where this boundary lies in practice, there is a truly perfect analogy involving a commercial trucking company.
Oh, let's hear it.
Imagine you sell fleets of highly advanced commercial trucks to massive shipping logistics companies. Good, healthy, profitable collaboration is explaining to the customer exactly how the new engine systems work.
Okay.
It is teaching them the optimal maintenance schedules to prevent breakdowns. It might even involve putting their staff in a simulator to teach them how to physically drive these specific trucks safely and efficiently in poor weather. All of that is excellent consultative customer service.
Yeah, you are deeply involved, but you are entirely focused on maximizing the utility of the specific tool you provided. You are an expert in the truck.
Precisely. Now, bad collaboration crossing that magical, dangerous line into doing their work is when you start looking at a map and telling the trucking company where they should drive the trucks.
Wow. Yes. Teaching them how to shift gears is your job. Deciding which city offers the best freight rates or which highway avoids the most tolls is their job.
Exactly.
If you start routing their trucks for them, you are no longer a vendor providing a vehicle. You have accidentally become their logistics manager.
And when a truck gets stuck in traffic and a delivery is late, whose fault is it?
It's yours.
Yes. And here's where it gets really interesting, because you can take this trucking analogy and lay it over almost any professional role, not just high-level technical sales.
Right.
Whether you are in IT, human resources, account management, or consulting, this exact boundary applies to you.
Let's apply it directly to the listener's life right now.
Let's do it.
Let's say you are a brilliant IT professional and you just spent a month building a beautiful, complex, new software data dashboard for your company's marketing department.
Okay.
Good collaboration is holding a series of training sessions. You sit with the marketing team and show them how to log in securely. You show them how to filter the views by date and demographic. You teach them how to export the reports into presentation formats.
Right. You are teaching them how to drive the truck. You are enabling them to use the tool effectively.
Yes. You are fulfilling your role as the provider of the technology, but the second the marketing director calls you on a Friday afternoon and says, hey, we are looking at the Q3 metrics on this new dashboard. Based on this data, should we target millennials or Gen Z for our upcoming multi-million-dollar ad campaign?
Oh, that's a trap.
If you answer that question, boom. You've grabbed the steering wheel. You're telling them where to drive. You have just crossed the line from IT support to chief marketing officer. You are doing their work.
It is a phenomenal translation of the concept because it perfectly highlights why we fall into the trap. It feels incredibly good to be asked for strategic advice.
Totally. It strokes our ego.
Right. It strokes our ego to be seen as a visionary in their domain, not just a mechanic in our own. You want to say target Gen Z, definitely, because it feels powerful. But you are setting yourself up for a massive fall.
Yep.
When that marketing campaign inevitably underperforms, they aren't going to blame their own bad strategy. They're going to blame the dashboard you built. They will say the data was misleading.
It's about managing reasonable expectations, but it's also about respecting their expertise as much as you respect your own.
Exactly.
When you step into their lane and start doing their work, you are subtly implying they need your help to do the fundamental core of their own job. And ironically, while they might eagerly accept that help in the short term out of pure convenience or laziness, it breeds that long-term dependency and eventual resentment,
You become the scapegoat for their professional shortcomings.
which forces us to reframe how we view professional boundaries entirely. We often view boundaries as defensive mechanisms, walls we build to keep needy people out and protect our own precious time.
Yeah, that's the standard view.
But understanding the perils of over-collaboration reframes boundaries as fundamentally protective of the relationship itself.
Yes, absolutely. By clearly stating, I can show you exactly how this software filters data, but the application of that data to your marketing strategy is your domain. You are actually preserving the integrity of the product and the mutual respect between both parties.
You are saving the client from themselves. You are actively preventing them from turning you into a crutch.
A crutch that will eventually snap under weight it was never designed to hold. When the vendor tries to be the practitioner, the entire professional structure collapses.
Right.
The relationship fails because the expectations were mathematically and intellectually impossible to fulfill.
As we wrap up this deep dive, the core lesson here is incredibly clear, even if it violently clashes with our natural instincts to be people pleasers and go the extra mile. It's a tough habit to break.
It really is. But you have to guard your time fiercely. You have to recognize the very real, very destructive threat of professional suicide by kindness.
You do.
And the ultimate mantra to take away from this, the rule to tape to your monitor, is teach the tool, not the job.
Teach the tool, not the job.
Right. Teach them how to use the dashboard. Don't write the marketing plan. Teach them how to run the centrifuge. Don't design the experiment. Teach them the gears. Don't route the truck.
If you can internalize that distinction, you will save yourself thousands of hours of uncompensated frustration.
I want you, the listener, to actually pull up your calendar this week. Look at the meetings you have scheduled. Look at the emails sitting in your drafts folder. Look at the quick favors you're doing for clients or colleagues.
Yeah, take a hard look.
Look closely and ask yourself, am I currently driving someone else's truck? Am I doing their actual work instead of just showing them how to use the tools I provided? Identifying where you've subtly crossed that line is the crucial first step to getting your time and your professional sanity back. And as you reflect on your calendar and look for those crossed boundaries, I want to leave you with a final, slightly different angle to ponder.
Oh, let's hear it.
We've spent this entire deep dive analyzing how over-collaboration ruins the seller's time and creates unfair, ego-driven objections against the product. We've looked at the severe cost to the person doing the helping.
Right.
But think about the unseen, silent cost to the buyer. Think about the person receiving all of this excessive, frictionless help.
Okay.
If a client or a colleague completely outsources their core problem solving to a vendor or a helpful peer, what happens to their own internal skills over a 5-year period?
Oh, wow.
By being too helpful, by constantly doing their work for them so they never have to struggle. Does over-collaboration actually cause the customer's own technical expertise to atrophy?
That's a great question.
Are we, through our endless kindness and desire to be the ultimate concierge, actually creating a state of learned helplessness, making the very people we serve fundamentally less competent at their own jobs?
Man, that is a heavy thought to sit with. We started out talking about the script. We're all handed being the ultimate concierge, rushing to solve every single problem before the guest even has to ask.
Right.
But maybe the kindest, most professional thing you can actually do for the guest is just hand them a really good map, teach them how to read it, and let them find their own way.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Good luck out there navigating your own collaborative boundaries, and we'll catch you on the next one.